So we've had several of the media outlets, several of the big boys come out about their projections for the NBA season. Okay, and so, this is similar to the Vegas odds makers, right? They'll set the over-under, win totals, and they'll, give a sense of what is expected performance-wise from each team. And so we want to look at those. Okay, so I went through the different teams, or I guess the projections for these different teams, and I found out on DraftKings, some of the odds makers, they had the Jazz at 24.5 wins. So that's the fifth highest lottery odds. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, because I think us Jazz fans, we want to be in that bottom three. Okay, but we're currently, with the squad we got, DraftKings anticipates us with the fifth highest lottery odds. Okay, 24.5 wins. Hardwood Knocks, which if you haven't checked them out, it's a podcast, YouTube channel where they cover the entire league, but they get into the nitty-gritty with experts from each team, and they really try to do a high-level job. And especially one thing that's a staple of them are their mailbag episodes, where they answer fan questions and audience questions. So if you haven't checked out Hardwood Knocks, search them on YouTube, Twitter, or your podcatcher. They're a lot of fun. They're one of my first listens when I'm at the gym or doing whatever. Anyways, they went through and identified win total projections, and they had the Jazz at 25 wins, fifth highest lottery odds. Okay, ESPN has the Jazz at 35 wins. Now that may seem really, really high. However, one interesting thing, if you went through ESPN, is that the variance around the league was extremely thin, right? So, I think the highest win totals they had were like 53, 54 wins, right? And the lowest wins were like modest at 27, 28. So the point there is that we can't really take the win total as a sign of what ESPN thinks, but more so where that win total is in relation to the best lottery odds. And so at 35 wins, ESPN would have the Jazz with the sixth highest lottery odds. Interestingly enough, 538 just came out with their 2022-2023 projections. And if we look there, it has the Jazz as the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, as the 12th lowest lottery, or 10th highest lottery odds. And so they have the Jazz slotted in at 38 wins. So interesting. Why do some of the really stats-based, now obviously, DraftKings, the sports books, they're very, statistical based as well, but why do they have the Jazz ranked so low or with such high win totals, 538 in ESPN? Well, I think the main reason, and we've seen it talked about, is that the Jazz still have veterans that are anticipated to play, like Mike Conley, and you've seen their impact, right? We saw it against Portland. Mike Conley played a lot, Jordan Clarkson played a lot, so did Kelly Olynyk, etc. And the Jazz won that game, right? We got some shooting luck, we were really active defensively, and we kind of blew the Blazers out. And then we played San Antonio without Mike Conley, and all of a sudden the floor bottomed out. So until the Jazz move some of these veterans, I do anticipate that a lot of the stats-based projections will be underselling how far the Jazz could fall down. Now, you may also be wondering, hey, for some of these projections that are a little more nuanced or a little bit subjective, right, less to do with, the stats and some of those projections, why are they so low on the Jazz? Like, why only the fifth highest odds? And I think that's largely to do with, I guess, just the little differences in the records. Okay, so fifth may seem like you're far away from one, but if the gap between 1 and 5 were 2-3 wins, that's not all that big a gap, honestly. So I think that's a lot of it too. And I guess my best guess is that the Utah Jazz land in that 3 to 7 range, the third to seventh best odds. And, we'll probably be seventh best odds if, say the Jazz have a squad that, where they have to keep the veterans for a long time. They can't find deals for them. And they don't quite play the young guys yet. Ochai Agbaji, right? He hasn't seen a ton of time in the preseason. If that continues into the regular season, where we're playing Clarkson and Conley a lot of minutes, hey, that's pushing me to kind of those seventh best odds. Whereas if we are able to move off some of these veterans, or if we really prioritize, playing the young guys, or seeing some did not play coaches' decisions, that's where I could see us ascending up to that 3 range. And why I don't see number 1, the first reason is just I think the level to which you're going to have to beat out an Oklahoma City Thunder, a San Antonio Spurs, teams who are unabashed, unapologetically tanking at the moment, I think is going to be pretty severe. Okay, the Jazz thus far, they've been very adamant of, hey, we are going to try to win every game. We are going to optimize our roster. We are wanting to build winning habits. Okay, that's what the league likes to hear. Right? Whereas Oklahoma City and the San Antonio Spurs and others, they've kind of been pretty blatant about, hey, yeah, we're trying to lose. We're trying to get a really, really good draft pick. And this is the process, right? This is the process Sam Hinkie demonstrated. And we may not do it as demonstratively as the Philadelphia 76ers did last decade, but that's our goal. That's what we're doing. Whereas the Jazz haven't gone that route. And so I think the Jazz would have to kind of go about that in as dramatic or even more dramatic way, and moving off these veterans if they were to see a scenario where we get the number 1 lottery odds and we beat out Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, and other teams that you feel are going to be very, very poor. So that's why I just don't see the number 1 lottery odds being all that realistic. Again, I'd paint that 3 to 7 range as being where we land.